Today, April 25th, is Anzac Day in New Zealand. What is Anzac Day and why do we celebrate it? Let's find out. Anzac Day marks the anniversary of the landing of Australian and New Zealand soldiers in Gallipoli. It was a major military action that they took in the First World War that was taking place in Gallipoli in 1915. Many soldiers fell during that war. Depending on your source, the number can vary. I've seen 8,141, I've seen more than that. But just know that a lot of people died during that war.
We pray for those who suffer as a result of war. We commend to your care and compassion those whose grief and trauma causes them despair. Give them the comfort of your presence and the courage to face the future.
After World War I, there's World War II, there have been different peacekeeping missions here and there. So we had soldiers that have gone and they've lost their lives. In today's time, April 25th, commemorates soldiers that have been killed, New Zealand and Australian soldiers that have been killed in war, and also honors returned and serving servicemen and women.
The First World War was widely seen in New Zealand and elsewhere as the war to end war. But as we all know, it was not, and our world is still ravaged in the Ukraine and elsewhere by war.
There are traditions that are followed on that day during the ceremony. On that day, you have that traditionally in Australia, especially, people wear a sprig of rosemary, and that's because rosemary grew in the wild in Gallipoli. Here in New Zealand, you see soldiers, returned servicemen, veterans, and policymakers wearing poppies. Poppies have now become a sign or symbol of war remembrance. So that's why we wear poppies here in New Zealand. Anzac Day is rich with traditions and rituals, and because it's a form of military ritual, it follows a particular pattern. So the ceremony has two major parts in New Zealand. You have the dawn service, which happens at dawn, and then you have the Anzac parade, which happens later in the morning. For the dawn service, there is a pre-dawn march where very early in the morning, the soldiers, the veterans would march to their local war memorial. There's a short service that follows songs, hymns, dedication. Then the last post is played, and then there'll be a minute of silence. And after that, the reveille is played, and you have an address, and as well as prayers, and then singing the national anthem. That usually happens in the dawn service. It is almost 6 a.m. in the morning, and I'm on my way to the dawn service at our local memorial. Let's go. That's the military guy and his family.
And in the morning, we will remember them.
But nonetheless powerful symbol of the sacred obligation despair to homes across New Zealand. The heavy casualties at Gallipoli came as a particular shock.
The rest.
That is just a high-level summary of the dawn service. In more details, you can read that online. Then you have the Anzac parade, and it's always really beautiful to watch. You have military personnel decked in their medals. They march behind the banner and the standards. You also have veterans, community members who join in. You have leaders of organizations. You have like politicians there as well, and they all march to the local war museum, and they lay wreaths there. Services are also conducted there as well. Most of the talks that are given are more emphasizing on, patriotism, nationalhood, just being more united as a nation and saving your country and all that. So that is just very summary of what happened. But in New Zealand, we have two major ceremonies that we do on Anzac Day, which is the pre-dawn service and the Anzac parade. In our country, Nigeria, we call it Armed Forces Memorial Day. But it used to be a public holiday, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure. But here, Anzac Day is a public holiday. First thing you should note, when you are referring to the military formation that the New Zealand troop at Gallipoli were attached to, you use all caps, Anzac, which means Australian and New Zealand Army Corps. But every other thing has to be just initial caps. Like for instance, the Anzacs, just initial caps. Anzac Day, just initial caps. If you use all caps, that means you're referring to that particular military formation. And the most important thing that you should know is on Anzac Day is trading is not allowed till after 1 p.m. So that whole morning, shops are not to be open, except you meet certain conditions, then you can open. If you don't meet those conditions, then you have to be shut till 1 p.m. which is something a lot of people who just come into the country newly may not know. But yeah, this is something to know. It's a public holiday and you cannot sell, you cannot trade till 1 p.m. unless you meet certain conditions or you have some exemptions, then you can trade. So that is all about Anzac Day. I hope you've learned something today. Like this video and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next one. Bye.
Bless all serving personnel, whether overseas or in Aotearoa, New Zealand. May the spirit of Anzac be renewed again, so that the cause of justice, freedom and peace be witnessed in the actions of those who strive to build a better world. Amen.